And so we are live. This is Heidi Oropesa, and I have with me Daryl Hych. On the phone is Connie Burton. She's on the phone. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. However, we've brainstormed, and so she's going to be appearing telephonically during this broadcast. And so we are going to talk today about an issue that was brought to my attention on Saturday by the gentleman that you can see on the screen, Daryl Hych. He's a member of the NAACP. He's become, in a short time, very involved in the community. And so on Saturday, I became, I was made aware of the fact that he called in to a local radio show, an individual who is part of the executive board. Now, I'm not, you could correct me, Connie. Connie's part of the housing committee. Is that the appropriately called, Connie?
Yes.
Okay. And Daryl is you are on the a member. So if I say anything incorrect, please correct me. We
Correct.
had
I'm the
Go ahead, Daryl.
no, I was just going to say I'm the Armed Forces committee chair.
Great. And so on hold on a second. On Saturday, this individual, who's the first vice president, and his name is Terrence Lenore, he made a huge announcement on Saturday in a local radio show, saying that he was going to run to be president of the NAACP. There's an election this year in November, my understanding is. And so I went on and heard the show because it was brought to my attention that you called Daryl, and I'm going to let you go ahead and tell the viewers what exactly occurred. You advised that you had called because you kept hearing, is it attack a correct term to use? Yvette Lewis, the current president, who's been the president now. How long has Yvette Lewis been the president of the NAACP, Connie?
I believe it would be, it's a 2-year term, so a combination of 4 years.
Okay, and so just describe, because you're very involved in the community, particularly there in the city of Tampa in Hillsborough County. What did she do? Give us a contrast before she came on at the helm and after.
Well, let me just say this from my perspective, and someone that has been very critical and very transparent. And I'm sorry, Haiti, that the viewers can't see me because I don't know what, based on this technology, I can't be seen, but I don't hide in the shadow.
You do not, but we'll go ahead and I'll find a picture of you. Your beautiful self. Yes, ma'am. And put that on.
And I love to really speak truth to power. And so when I think about the leadership of the NAACP, an organization that has a historic civil rights legacy in this city and across the board, people begin to recognize that membership in organizations, an organization is only as strong as its members. And so last Saturday, under the leadership of Yvette Lewis and the executive board, they did a wonderful grand opening of their new facility that's located at 5101 North 40th Street in Tampa. And everybody that's anybody inside the community, stakeholders, was invited to come and join in this grand opening. And let me tell you, it was standing room only. What was just a soft invite ended up being standing room only, that had also aligned this grand opening with Candy's Low Black Bus Tour event. And so we have many members of the community on the grounds there at Gary Adult School. And I could just tell you, I have never been so proud of to look at the work under the leadership of Yvette Lewis than of that day. Because I have watched that sister labor hard, sometimes labor alone. The NAACP is a volunteer organization with no one receiving a dime in salary. And when I tell you that sister live, breathe, sleep, eat, think always of how the NAACP can be lifted, and through that lift, how it can lift our people on a number of ranges and every aspect of their life. So it was a wonderful grand opening, and the testament of her leadership is based on the number of people that attended.
Okay, so I had a wonderful picture of you with the NAACP logo seal behind you, and so every time you come while you're talking over the phone, telephonically, I'm gonna go ahead and present that so that the viewers can see a picture of you. And so let's go ahead quickly. I don't want to take a long time because there's a lot of information here, and I want to get to the gist of this whole situation. Daryl, you called. There was this gentleman, and he seeks Terrence Lenore, I believe he said his name was. He's the first vice president of the Hillsborough branch NAACP. He made this huge announcement about he's going to run for president to try to unseat Yvette Lewis. And they began to talk about things about, they were very acrimonious towards Yvette. That's my opinion. And here's the thing. They were invited. I texted Terrence and Michelle Patty, the host of the show, what's really happening. And Michelle Patty, because Florida You Judge, I like it to be a platform where both sides get to speak and it's not just one-sided without having the other person an opportunity to sit there and give a full context or to defend it, because we're seeking truth and accuracy. That's a Christian value. Miss Patty calls herself a bishop, and she leads a congregation, and I'm sure she's very familiar with the good book. Fairness is a Christian value. The Lord loves justice. And so this forum, this platform, everyone is invited. I went ahead and I extended an invite to Mr. Terrence. He immediately, I'm showing this for transparency purposes. You can see in this screenshot, as soon as I gave him an invite, he says, call when you get an opportunity. I did call yesterday morning, and I was a little bit busy, but nonetheless, I went ahead and I immediately called him. I said I wanted to speak about the commentary and narrative Saturday morning on Michelle Patty's show about Yvette removing him from a meeting that was held regarding the crime-free program, which now is under federal investigation, by the way. And so he said, well, there's no reason for me to go into that. That happened a year ago. And then I said, well, you went into it this Saturday. He said, well, that's not what was the topic of the discussion when I went to the show on Saturday. I go, well, when Miss Patty entered into that discussion, you were more than happy to discuss that. So I said, I'll tell you what, let's go. If you don't want to go into that, then I will go ahead and I'll amend the announcement that I put on social media announcing tonight's broadcast. And I'll just allow you to come on to speak what your vision is if you're voted to be the next president of the NAACP, the Hillsborough branch. You just talk about what you are going to do, what your vision is. As you can see here, when he agreed to do that, I went in ahead and I texted him and I said, I specified you will be speaking on the future of the NAACP if you are elected, to accommodate him. This is an important organization. You want to lead it. So if you don't want to talk about what you talked about on Saturday, we'll just limit it to talking about the issues in the NAACP. I then later said, could you send me an email? Where do you want me to send you the link? Crickets. He read it, because he has the feature on his iPhone that shows the recipient of the text, or the sender rather, when it was read. So he read it and crickets. He chose not to respond to me in order to, as he committed to doing. So Connie, were you there, by the way, on the day that all that was spoken about during the Michelle Patty show on Saturday was an attack on Yvette Lewis? Really, I think, am I correct on that, Daryl? And in fact, you called in and had a criticism about that, Daryl. Yes or no?
Well, my response.
Well, no, I was not there. And the reason why I was not there is because the mayor administration went about the invite to circumvent me, and also to, in my opinion, demean the leadership of President Yvette Lewis. She is the president. The mayor is the mayor, Jane Castor of the city of Tampa. And no one has the right to try to attack her staff, bring her into such meetings without her knowledge. I am the housing chair. And what was going to be discussed is what we're saying, that the city is under investigation now, and that is for the crime-free housing. Yvette made several attempts to get me allowed to come to the meeting, and unsuccessfully, members of the police department did not want me there. I have been working on that task about crime-free housing. And so Yvette's position is that if the chairman of the housing committee could not be in the meeting, then other members that had not worked, that had no knowledge of, should not be at the meeting simply because the mayor had invited them.
Okay, so let's just real quickly, you're saying you weren't there, but you were told you can't be here. And so my understanding is that Terrence was not excluded. He just, the president sought to have fairness. If you're not going to be allowed when you are directly related to the issue that was going to be discussed, housing, it wouldn't be fair for anybody else. So they just kept it as the leader of the ACLU, her, and law enforcement, which was,
exactly.
That's it. It wasn't a matter of, I'm going to exclude you because I don't like you. It was like, well, why are you excluding Connie? Because Jane Castor or whomever had a problem with Connie. So she's like, let's be fair. Her thing was, let's keep my eye on the prize. It's to resolve this so that Black people are not burdened anymore in housing. If Connie can't be here, okay, fine. I'll agree to that. But then don't bring in somebody else because that's going to appear unfair. Okay, so that's the context. That was not discussed. Did you get an invitation, or did Yvette get an invitation to Michelle Patty show when Terrence came on? I don't know. That's a question that Miss Patty could have enlightened me on tonight. She texted me
a lot of condescending invites to Miss Lewis. But I believe it will be a step down in Miss Lewis' dignity to appear on that show.
All right. So I'm gonna have you guys comment on this. Daryl, you called because you said that it was problematic for you to hear somebody on the executive board appear on a radio show and begin to divisively attack the person that is the president of that organization.
Correct. I mean, the way I look at it is you have organizational leadership and positional authority. And in either one of those scenarios, if you are a part of the executive committee of any organization, it is incomprehensible for you to be part of the organization and talk about the negative things that are taking place in an organization. Not only that, if you're talking about the leader of that organization and you are part of the executive committee, then you must turn the mirror and look at yourself, because Terrence is the first vice president. Should something happen to President Yvette, he steps in to fill that void. So in the bylaws of the NAACP, the bylaws as well as the Constitution, it states anyone who is operating inimically, which means anyone who is being unfriendly, adversely benefiting or doing something against the organization, that person has members of the organization have the right to solicit the removal of that individual. Here's the reason why I find that part to be so valuable and so powerful. Because the NAACP is the oldest organization in the world that has been fighting for Black people. And if you are part of causing the progression of where this organization is heading, you don't need to be part of it. Go on the outside of the organization and wave your flag in another environment, because we fight too many other abnormalities already. We fight already too many inequalities. To be fighting them on the inside, I mean, that's incomprehensible. I told them on that call, I said, if you were in the military and you were talking about the leader of the organization in the military, you'd be handcuffed and walked into the brig. Where do you do that at? Where do you do that at as the second person in charge? Now, granted, there is a freedom of speech, but you have to ask yourself, even with freedom of speech, you still have a fiduciary duty to say, I reserve my right to speak on that situation. But to be in the company of someone who has had a history of talking about the person who you work with, you should be looking for opportunities and avenues to build the organization. Because if the organization is not doing the things that you said it should be doing, what are you doing? What are you doing? Historically, as Miss Connie Burton said, the event that we had last week or a couple weeks ago, outstanding event. Where was the first vice president? The building that we're in, outstanding building. I watched one man go over there every other week and every other day, put nails in the wall, hang pictures on the wall, almost single-handedly. And he's just a regular member. But Jarvis has been to the office, the new building, probably once or a maximum of twice. How then can you sit back on your pedestal and say that the organization is so bad, but you did nothing to help influence the increase of it? That's where my problem is at.
Okay, so and we do have Michelle has Williams, local community activist and member. She's on the line. She'll be commenting shortly. Let me just go over this real quickly because this is the meat of the matter right here. You asked me, Daryl, to go back and to listen to the show. I did. It was Saturday. I was resting, but what you were telling me was something that was of some importance to me. I had just covered last week a broadcast about the major policy decision by Mary O'Connor, the newest police chief, to allow for officers in TPD to mute their body-worn cameras that may possibly lead to the non-preservation of critical information when there are cases where somebody's rights, particularly those of Black people, violated, or where there's excessive force use or force such that a Black person dies. So I want to do this real quickly, and then I'm going to allow you all to comment and to react. The show that I watched on Saturday, the motto of that show is what is really happening. And all I heard was criticism from this individual who wants to be the president, okay, of Yvette Lewis. So this is what's really happening. None of this was discussed on the show. You all can go, those who are viewing, who will view, go ahead and email me. I'm happy to send you the link of the show. You can email me at this email, oropesadefense@gmail.com. That's my email. Email me. I'm happy to send you the link of the live Facebook that I observed on Saturday. Yvette was criticized, attacked about a meeting a year ago that he said that is not relevant, and he didn't even want to come on to talk about. In fairness to Yvette, And that's all pretty much what they talked about, and some other things that unless Miss Patty comes on, I'm not going to comment on it because I think it might be accurate, and I don't want to say anything that might be defamatory. But this is what's really happening and wasn't mentioned. Tampa was told. Hold on, Connie. Tampa was told it was under federal investigation at the end of 2021. The city council just found out. This is recent headlines, folks. Here's another one. Department of Justice. This is the Tampa Bay Times. Department of Justice investigates Tampa Police's crime-free housing program. Current headline. The mayor has left a trail of dishonesty. Jane Castor's latest claims about Tampa's crime-free housing program under scrutiny. Let's listen to one of the other vice presidents of the NAACP, how he started off his commentary at the city council this last Thursday. Let's go ahead and share that.
I'm undercover. Joe Robinson, man. When I come down here like this, there's a lot going on. Now I'm getting back in the investigative mode. Now you got the feds down here. First of all, Cinco de Mayo.
So he's talking about the the feds are here in town. They're investigating for the second time a program, not the same program. The first one was biking while black. Okay, what happened in 2015? Federal report, when the Tampa Bay Times broke the story that black men were being ticketed, it appeared discriminatorily. So Jane Castor and Bob Buckhorn called the feds in, and this is what their ultimate report was. Tampa police bike tickets burden blacks have no benefit. Okay? And now, and just so that you all know, and this is true, this is fact, Mary O'Connor, the new chief, was part of that, of the creation of that program. She was involved in the creation of that program. Okay? And now, as chief, she just did a policy change, and Yvette Lewis, the president of the NAACP, wasn't invited. They were kept out. If you look at the show this Saturday, this individual, Terrence, says he's about everybody being at the table, but the president of the organization that he's first vice president of, she was kept out of that. Mary O'Connor is part of she's the one that created this policy. That's very problematic. I'm going to just go ahead. I promise you, Connie, I'm going to give you all the time you and listen, folks, pay attention. The devil's in the details. When that program, the Biking While Black, came out, was reported by the Tampa Bay Times, Jane Castor, strongly disputes Biking While Black story at Tampa City Council. She said, no. She said at that time in 2015, one thing I won't stand for is undue criticism of my officers and our organization. I vehemently disagree with the allegations that were made this past Sunday in one of our newspapers, said Castor, who was accompanied by 3 burly members of the Police Benevolent Association. Our officers do a good job every day out there with the okay, so she blah, 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 blah. I did nothing wrong. Deny. And then what happens? When she wants to seek to be mayor and for the black community to vote and support her, she goes on right before she announces, oh, that was wrong when that happened. Opportunist, maybe? Opportunist? 3 years before this, we did nothing wrong. Even though the feds were saying, the federal government, the DOJ, Department of Police bike tickets burden blacks. Okay, let's move on. We're going to go ahead. That is what's really happening. You don't want to talk about that. This individual, Terrence, wants to be the president. He's on a show on Saturday. I've given him the ability to come on this show to talk about what do you have in store if you're elected. And he is going on a show to talk about Yvette Lewis, about a meeting a year ago where he was excluded in regards to housing, the crime-free program, which is now under investigation, folks. Second, and both of those programs, Mary O'Connor, she had part in the creation of those programs. This is what this individual who wants to be the next president of the NAACP, I got a clip of what he said on Saturday. He didn't talk about the federal investigation, the current one, the second one, on a program that's impacting Black people in housing. This is what he said.
Pull it up to this day. I was invited to a community meeting about at that time.
Let's do this again.
Pull it up. Pull it up to this day. I was invited to a community meeting about at that time before Chief O'Connor, who I'm going to say right now on this video, I support 100%. But Chief Mary O'Connor, but at that time it was Ruben Delgado who was the chief and vice. Pull it up to this day. I was invited to a community meeting about at that time before Chief O'Connor, who I'm going to say right now on this video, I support 100%.
Oh, okay. So he supports a person that created two programs. The first one, the federal government said you're burdening Black people without a benefit, creating that. And you support her. And there's a new investigation from the DOJ on housing, which Connie oversees housing as part of the NAACP. They wanted to keep her out, but you win. Look what he says. This is very telling. Okay, this is him again now.
He did call me. He kept his word. But prior to that, somehow, I don't know, Mayor Jane Castle got wind of it. She called me and she said, Torrance, I apologize that you were treated in that manner.
Wait, the mayor of
Mayor
the city
Jane
of
Castle
town
has my number personally. She called me the night of. She said,
you know what? Here's what I'm gonna say. I can have my opinion. This is what my opinion is. This is not fact, but I've shown enough fact to be able to base this. This is what I see. This is my opinion. Terrence Lenore had an opportunity to come on this broadcast to chat with us. This is a virtual town square. This is important. Black people are being burdened. They were burdened. The DOJ said that. I didn't say that. They were burdened in 2015. Jane Castor said, I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong until 3 years later. She wanted to run for mayor. She said, oh, that was wrong. Black people, can you vote for me now? And now there's another investigation. Joe Robinson just went on Thursday and said, now the feds are up in here again for housing and the impact on Black people. And we have Terrence saying, hey, I support Mary O'Connor 100%. And the mayor has my phone and calls me. You know what I think? I think Terrence is a mouthpiece for the Castor administration. That's what I think. And I think that perhaps that radio program lends itself to be excluding the other side. The good book says that the first person that talks seems right until the other side comes and cross-examines. Miss Patty was given an invitation to come on this broadcast, and she said no, and she didn't have a good reason. I'm not going to show her text of the reasons, but what she said was problematic, and I questioned the accuracy of what she was asserting. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say, folks. Connie, the floor is yours, and Daryl, to you too. And Michelle, thanks for calling. Michelle, what do you want to add?
Well, I want to start off by saying this. I think Mr. Terrence revealing himself as to what side in terms of representing the interests of the mission of the NAACP. Everything has been laid out in terms of when Mayor Castro was the chief of police, where the new chief, Mary O'Connor's, her participation in all of these anti-Black programs. And it is now the federal government is saying, and has said in the past, that what they was doing was not only a burden against the Black community, but it was targeting unnecessarily Black folks with ticketing and arrest. Now we go into the multi-crime free housing, and through the investigation of the Times, we have found out that people that did not have a violent crime just based on the relationship, the police department, that people was losing their housing. And so the feds are back here in town without an apology from the mayor the first time, other than when she switched from being a Republican to become a Democrat to run for office. So the Black community stays under attack. And the fact that Yvette Lewis is the president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, she finds herself under attack as well. So nobody has a problem with anybody that want to be a candidate for office. But if I'm going to be a candidate for office, then lay out your position, not to get in bed with policies that is attacking the very people that if you was elected, then we would know that we would get no representation or any protection from your leadership as the president of the NAACP.
All righty then. Michelle Williams, you're on.
Haiti, hi, and hello to Miss Connie, and hello to the gentleman who's also Daryl Hych that's on this conversation.
Do you want to say anything? Do you want to add anything? You called in. I thought it was a call-in. You want to add anything to this discussion? No? Okay, so Daryl, you're on.
So I agree with everything Connie said. Connie says it with a level of passion because you can see and you can hear that there is no hidden agenda in this. And one thing I will say is when I hooked my wagon onto the NAACP a couple years ago, and when I became actively involved, it was behind listening to President Yvette talk about the NAACP. And one thing that she made that I thought was very powerful, she said, these are the strongest 5 letters in the alphabet, NAACP. And when she said that, all I can think about was the inequalities and the disparity and the many fights that we are fighting outside forces, the other cultures that we're fighting, economics we're fighting, socially we're fighting, and we're fighting on all these different fronts, and we got our back up against the wall. And it's very unfortunate, and it is disheartening when you hear someone that look like you, that can identify the struggles and the issues that you've had, to sit back and discuss what you are not doing, but not yet actively engage with what your role can be. What I was that person before I joined. I was the person that was sitting back talking about what wasn't happening. But then I said, well, why don't I put my talent, skill, gifts, and abilities into the arena so that I can be part of the solution? See, because we know what all the problems are. We know what are our problems that we face. But I would have loved for, on that show, for Terrence to have been able to say, here are some solutions that we're going to bring forward. Here are some solutions that's going to move the agenda of the NAACP. See, because what I think is believed is it's believed that the NAACP is Yvette. Yvette is just holding a role and a position at this point in time. So when we talk against what is happening, we hinder the movement of the whole organization. So when we continue to do those type of things, when we continue to go and have sound bites, we continue to go back and have our hidden agendas. See, one thing I know about a hidden agenda will tarnish your whole objective. It will throw you way off. It will challenge your moral turpitude, your ethical response to things when you have a hidden agenda. And so I would ask the question, what's the hidden agenda? What is it that you're looking for that you don't see? Because again,
well, it seems to me that they might be pawns in the pushing the agenda of Jane Castro and Mary O'Connor. Listen, there's no secret about this. Yvette Lewis is a thorn in the flesh of the mayor and of the chief.
If you have a leadership that will not cow down to power and stands in the middle defending a people and a community that is under the most vicious attack through housing, through criminalization, through the lack of economic opportunity, then the hands of vicious Jim Crowism is to attack the leaders. So we've seen this play out before in the history of Black leadership. We have watched how our strongest leaders have been assassinated. Their characters have been under attack, even to the detriment of them losing their lives. So what is happening in the city of Tampa right now, Haiti, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity to speak, is that there is a power grab for leadership. I remember when the NAACP was in a box office off of Martin Luther King, when Yvette Lewis took on the leadership and was voted in as president. They was behind in rent. The room had padlocks on the doors. And she has, with those that want to work with her, to those in this community that want to build real meaningful partnership, has now developed this NAACP up under her leadership as something of a force to be reckoned with, not for a few. See, a few people want to have it so they can negotiate power and money for them. That is their MO. That has been their character. That has been their MO. As long as they get it for them, then they are happy. And damn the rest of us. But Yvette has shown that she is unbought and she is unbossed. And so the community, and I will guarantee you this, if you can continue to listen to that program, you're going to continue to hear the name of Yvette Lewis, because it's only by defaming her and attacking her do they feel victory and is at their hand. But we have another plan, and we believe in the power of the people. We believe that people that want to be on the right side of history, people that want decency, people that want to see Black folks come out of the darkness and be able to have full participation of knowing what it is to live as an American, that we will not allow the NAACP to be attacked and to be taken away for a few cronies to have their way by negotiating power for them. We're going to be organizing in our community. We're going to be the door knocking on our community. And I would just say this. We all have a right to express our love for Christ. But if every Saturday morning it is to attack, and you use the word of God the way you want to interpret it as justification for it, then I say, Lord, have mercy on that person. Because the Jesus that I know and the God of our whole creation sent his son to men and to heal. And if Mr. Terrence has an agenda, I say run his campaign, but shame on you if your campaign has to be on the legacy of lies and viciousness, the very thing that we say we're trying to get away from off the national agenda. Now you've brought it to the front door of the Black community.
All right. Well, here's let's go ahead and have a little on that. I thought you were gonna start preaching there, Connie. Let's go ahead and have a little bit of some church, because the perception is, and I've gotten feedback from people in the activism community, that the host of this show, like you just said, it's being described as a bully pulpit to attack other fellow Black citizens. and cause dissension and divisiveness. So let's go ahead and have some church here. Let's go ahead and have some church. And there's a wonderful proverb that I will read. And let's see here. It says it's Proverbs 16. Proverbs 6:16-19. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. That's the good book. That's from the good book. Okay. Michelle, you're still on.
Mother would say, if the shoe fit, wear it. If the shoe fit, wear it. But I would just go back to this, Haiti. We just had, and I say we because I'm like Daryl, I was one of those on the outside throwing stones. And I say, you know what? Let me see what I can do. And I came on board. Anybody that know my character, I ain't no stoogie for nobody. I believe in truth, righteousness, and justice. And that's what I want my legacy to say about me.
You know what? You said a lot with that.
And so when you see the work that this sister has been able to master skillfully, and I'm talking about somebody that has the same decorum of a Fannie Lou Hamer. Somebody that if you looked at her, you would say, no, well, maybe she ain't the president because she's not all glitzy glammed up. But I tell you this, that sister wake up thinking about the people, and she go to sleep thinking about the people, and she's energized to keep working in behalf of the people. And so all of those that have lying tongues and want to believe that God told them such, and all of the naysayers and all of the political hacks that want Yvette to be removed, they have a stake in having her removed, because that means that they will continue to have projects that they don't have to be held accountable. If we talk about the Hannah Street project in the middle of the Black community, in the middle of the Black community that took the mayor 5 months to even be truthful in saying that she had a no bid contract in that hand. If you want to have that type of things go undiscussed, then you don't want Yvette Lewis.
Okay.
But if you want somebody that's going to be talking about economic justice, ending disparity inside of our community, then you're going to get behind this sister. And you're going to see this sister in the same light that we would see a Shirley Chisholm or Ida B. Wells. We're going to see that sister in that way and be able to pull away and peel away all of the lies of deception that we are hearing coming out of the Amen corner.
Okay, so listen, we have a comment from Cato. They always switch because they know most of our people won't do their research on what those people did for us before they ran for office. Thanks for tuning in, Cato. And we also have someone else commenting, Ray Campbell. I seriously question Yvette's asking and not the NAACP leadership abilities. All of these encounters with the mayor and the police chief have been without the approval of the board. She even chooses not to even discuss the encounters with the board. So that tells me this is Yvette special.
Well,
but listen, let me say before you comment. I know, but hold on, Connie, before you respond to him. Sir, Ray Campbell, thank you for tuning in. And please note that everyone gets to comment and weigh in. This is not about any one person. Thank you for tuning in and commenting. Go, Connie.
Can I say something?
Ray Campbell served as the treasurer of the NAACP. He has tendered his resignation. that he no longer wants to be a part of the organization, that he will not be seeking re-election. And so, I would say, hats off to Ray Campbell that he has really, really, expressed his disinterest in his continual work with the people.
Yeah, and so you know what though, and also Ray, thanks for tuning in. But I would think that as a black man, you'd have a problem with the Viking while blacks situation, where I already read what the feds said about that it was burdening black people, and then now you have another investigation by the federal government because there's burdening of black people in housing. And for Yvette Lewis, from what I've seen, she always calls stuff out and is on the right side of the issue with doing her duty as the president of the NAACP and looking out for the black community that it represents. But we have here an individual that's going on a show attacking her about and not providing full context of what happened a year ago, and wanting to is openly saying he supports the chief, Mayor O'Connor, who had part in creating the first program that burdened black people, and the second one that now is under investigation for investigating whether it's burdening black people in housing. And he goes on the show, attacks his president of the organization, and
pull it up to this day. I was invited to a community meeting at that time before Chief O'Connor, who I'm going to say right now on this video, I support 100%.
Standing in the gap. And for all black folks and black men, but Bill Carson in particular made a motion because they only found out last Friday at sunset that there was a federal investigation going on, and he is calling on the city administration to bring forth a report as to why the city council members was not made privy of that information. It's shameful that in under the 2020, the city of Tampa acknowledged the disparity of slavery. It also talked about the continual harm based on policies seen and unseen. And Bill Carson, it was second by Councilman Orlando Gould, that they come back and give a report. But if not for the courage of those councilmen, we would not even have an accounting from the city government, because the treatment of black people is now filtering as if there is an innate hate for black people in this community. And it has taken those in leadership of the NAACP that is not getting blindsided with these other issues that is being tossed at Yvette, that is standing in the gap for the black community and asking for accountability.
All right, thanks. Listen, Connie, we're running a little bit over time. I'm glad that you have come on to address this, and I like the fact that this platform is serving a little bit as a counterbalance to what could be a one-side narrative based on an agenda, which I suspect is of Jane Castor and Mary O'Connor. Jane Castor's welcome here anytime. She can come on this. We could coordinate through her office a live broadcast. She could speak to this if I'm wrong. She could come on and correct me. Listen, Connie, you're always invited. This platform is yours. So while I'm in solidarity, Daryl, I'm going to give you the last word now. I promise. You can talk as much as you want. Hold on, Connie.
Hold on. Saturday will be some more debasing, and maybe I will be included. But let me just say this:
and we're going to counter back again and again and again.
Sisters that is determined to fight for justice, and we don't care what they say. Thank you so much, Katie.
Listen, there's some things that are going to be coming out soon, so that's fine. Go ahead and give me promo. Give Florida You Judge promo and Hedy Oropesa on your show if I'm going to be the target next. I don't care. I'm in solidarity with the right side that I believe. I'm going to become a member of the NAACP Hillsborough branch. If Terrence wins, I probably will not renew, because based on, I didn't fall off the turnip truck. I didn't. I know what I'm seeing here, and it doesn't look good. So the person that's all right. So with Daryl, go ahead. You say what you need to say. Daryl, you need to maybe log off and log back on. Connie, those who
Do you
want,
see me?
yeah, go. I can hear you now,
So
sir.
what I I wanted to address what Ray said about Yvette going and speaking and doing all these different things. I guess what it failed to understand is the positional authority. As the president and the chair of the organization, someone has to represent the organization in the community. And you do not have to always seek executive permission to do the things that you're doing for the organization. I think that's where they got it twisted. Because if Terrence becomes the president, you don't have enough hours in the day to try to seek permission from the executive committee to do the things when the executive committee meets once a month. Now, if you want to be more actively and effective in having a voice for when Yvette or when the president, whoever that person would be, if you want to have a voice to be able to speak to that, then become actively engaged. Don't show up at the table once a month for an executive meeting, and then the rest of the week and the rest of the month, what I have witnessed is Miss Connie Burton and Yvette Lewis and Robert. You got three people who are the consistency. Without those three, there would be no NAACP Hillsborough County, because no one that I have seen, and I'm a short tenure time with the organization, but what I've seen in that short tenure time is these three people working endlessly, and with them working endlessly, look at all that has been accomplished. So if you ask yourself, if I just added a little bit of my own talents to it, how much more greater would it be? Terrence, as the first vice president, if you're actively doing presidential things, then you wouldn't have time to be speaking about what the organization is not doing, because you would be doing presidential things. Miss Yvette is on all these different fronts, trying to accomplish all these different things and answering the phone, mail, email, text. Can you come over here? You cannot be successful in all those fronts if you're one person. So again, turn the mirror, ask yourself, am I being presidential? Am I being an executor? Am I executing the call of duty from our president? And if you're not doing that, then you must be doing something else. And the something else, you got to ask yourself, is it part of a hidden agenda? And often enough, if you follow the money trail, you'll find out where the hidden agenda is at. If you follow a person's immorality, you'll find out where that person is at. So in that, what I would say, if I had a closing commentary, I'll say, listen, get on board. Stop the dissension. We got enough fights. We're fighting on too many fronts. Become one. Activate your power. Activate the energy and the talent and the skills that you have, and get up under what is happening. Speak truth to power and help move the organization forward. Cut out all this craziness. It's ridiculous.
All right. So we've gone a little bit along, and it was worth it. A great broadcast. Thank you, Connie, for coming on. You're always welcome here. I'm not going to tune in on Saturday, but if we need to do a counter response, then I'm gonna be like the rappers that say on and on and on until the break of dawn. I got time for this. This matters. I got time for this. And let's keep it civil though, and let's keep it accurate, that there's no defamation. So let's keep it civil and fair. Both sides need to be heard, not just one side. Thanks for being on with me, Connie. I respect you. You are a woman of the people. You're not bought and sold, that's for sure. Thanks, Daryl. Thanks for the friendship. We've have a friendship now that for some time now has flourished. I see good things for you ahead. And for all of you that tuned in, Haiti Oropesa, I humbly serve and take off my time to get bring some information, have these conversations that are important to our community, to the country, to the world. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time. Good evening, everyone.